Okay, so this is the game. This is Godot game engine for those who are unfamiliar. Uh, this is the scene tree, so this is where all the magic happens, right? So just a this right here is just a game, like a container for the game that does all the initialization, not important. I have a parallel processor here that takes incoming arrays and splits them up and then runs them on separate threads. And it can run any logic on any array. And it's just a great way to speed things up because I'm presumably going to be handling thousands of separate objects in the game. Um, this is the silo system, which is like just a container for the silo system. Underneath that, we have the overseer AI, which is basically like the bad guy in the game, but it has oversight over everything, and so it's at the top of the hierarchy. And I have not coded it yet. It's going to be a large language model run locally. I already have a lot of code pre-written for that because I have another project that used a local AI chat model. So it shouldn't be terribly difficult to integrate that. Let's see. Underneath the overseer, I have two managers. One's called the systems manager and the other's called the entities manager. This is an ECS system. This is like the same system that they use in like city skylines. I think RimWorld and like Dwarf Fortress use something similar. And it's just basically a way to handle large amounts of changing objects without a huge slowdown. And the way it works is it separates. It's like a compression algorithm essentially. Anyway, there's two elements of it: the systems and the entities. And the systems you can think of as like the brain, and then the brain gives orders to and receives information from the entities. So the entities are like the body, and they move around, they change. This is the interactable part of the game, and then the systems all operate on the entities as in large batches. Let's see. So I have a name generator, which is just a thing I wrote to make names. Not important. This is the silo container. In the silo container, we have colony resources, which is right now I just have power and food. And then we have levels. Right now I have 3 levels. I'm working on the first level as a template, and it's levels of the silo, not levels of the game, by the way. Inside of that, there's a container for like meshes, which is going to be the stairs and the walls and the floor and all that. But then also, entities within that are interactable, like a cafeteria, home, farm. There'll be many more of those, but each of those contains data. So like for the cafeteria here, we have prepared food, raw food, production rate, max workers, current workers, influence radius, is working. It's just a Boolean yes or no. And then maintenance requirements. And they each have their own, properties. Okay, and then we have humans. I haven't put all the entities in yet, so bear with me here, but this is my template human, and it has happiness, hunger, loyalty, safety, yada yada yada. We also have relationships between entities. So I wrote a relationship tool here. This tool basically adds and removes, modifies relationships between entities. So like for instance, if I can drag it under like this human agent 7, and I can say, well, human agent 7, who would have a name at runtime, right? That's what the name generator is for. I want that person to be the boss of, this person, right? I confirm it. Okay, cool. Now that's the boss. So it is stored in the. Wait a second. What did I do here? Add. I don't remember which one I clicked. I'm going to do it again. Let's say 9. We'll go with 9. So 9 is going to have a relationship, and it's stored as a dictionary here. Has a relationship. 4 and 7. So it has a relationship of type 4, which would be worker of human agent 7. The relationship there. So human agent 7 is the boss of that one now, right? Anyway, there's a whole relationship system I've been working on. and that tool is part of managing that. And then it can be also run at programmatically at runtime. So it's not just all manual modification, right? This can be done. This can be modified by the systems in the game. All right, back up. So going up to systems here, we have the systems manager as the overall manager, all right? And that takes reports from the behavior manager, movement manager, resource manager, security manager. The most interesting here is going to be the behavior manager. Behavior manager takes all the entities in the game, checks their relationships and what's happening in the game, and decides what agents or the entities should do. So human, in this case, I have an AI for the humans, and for right now, they can eat, work, sleep, or be idle. Obviously, I'm going to add more actions, but under each action, there are considerations. So like why, so if I have high hunger, I'm going to want to eat, right? If I have, low safety, I might not want to eat, if that makes sense. And each one of those is controlled by a curve, which is how like The Sims does it. They use curves for considerations. I also have special considerations here. In this case, time of day. So like you might be less likely to eat, in the middle of the night, which is so like night influence here is 0.2. It's a multiplier, a 0.2 multiplier versus you're probably more likely to eat sometime in the noontime, right? I haven't really worked out the numbers exactly how they should be, but that's to give you an example of how that works. This is just a thing that I don't want to store in every single entity, like the time of day. Why would I store this in every single entity when I can just run it once, right? I don't want to run it a bunch of times. So same thing for like sleep. A great example of time of day, right? I have a multiplier of 4 here for nighttime because that's when most people sleep. Let's see, there's work manager. Haven't gotten a lot of work done on that, ironically. Social manager, also haven't done a lot of work on that. There's a relationships manager that's going to handle relationships specifically. There's also groups, which I haven't got into. Groups like family, work groups, whatever that is, or whatever. Resource manager, you can figure that out. Security manager, I haven't really quite figured out how it's going to work, but I think there's going to be a monitoring layer that monitors everything, looks for things that might be interesting, and then there will be a response system that will be communicating with the overseer as well as the player during the game. Let's see, is that everything? That's pretty much everything. So the basic idea of the game is that you're the head of IT and you are sort of the good guy and the bad guy at the same time, right? You have the overseer who could eliminate everybody, so you have to kind of play the game by the overseer's rules. And your goal is to keep this colony alive, right? The silo alive. And if the population goes below, the population collapse level, then you're done. It's over. So whether that happens because of resource collapse or because of low birth rates or if the overseer gasses everybody or, rebellion or war, whatever it is, you got to keep everybody alive. And I haven't quite figured out the win state, but I think it's going to be there's got to be some way you can sort of trick the overseer into like shutting it down, or I don't know. I haven't quite figured that out because it's if it follows the game too close or the series too closely or the books too closely, everybody's going to already know what to do to win the game. So it's got to be some other win condition that I haven't quite figured out. Anyway, I hope that kind of sums it up for everybody. It's like I said, it's a work in progress. I'm moving slow because it's an ECS system, and the system basically has to be finished before you can even do any real testing. So I've tested all the individual elements as much as I can. They're all working so far, and it's just a matter now of sort of building out the few remaining systems and then adding content to the game, which is going to be like in this case, considerations, that can be added. Special and regular, and then like adding all the entities in the all the big part is going to be like the 3D modeling part, right? Because we have like a bajillion, you know, potential interactable things in the world, and we got to put those all in. But basically, I have a framework here. It's a modular framework that where I can do a lot of copying and pasting to create new stuff, and it just works when you do that. You know, I can just copy and paste a human, right? And I don't have to do anything. It's just now it just works in the world. It's fine. I could set it up in a certain way with different, you know, skills or attributes, but once I have the systems in place, it's literally just decide what you want to do and add the stuff, and it kind of just does all the hard stuff, hard work behind the scenes, which I think is pretty cool. So anyway, that's all I have for you. Have a great weekend, everybody, and you know, I'll see you on Discord. Ciao.